if India plays Pakistan in a 5-match test series right now, by how many test matches will India win? Can you answer that?
You see, the best part of that is कि यही तो time है ना एक दूसरे के साथ ना खेलने का हम अपनी खुशी से ना खेलते हम कहते नहीं खेलना
Hello everyone and welcome back. This is Menace and the Monk. I'm Menace Manas and I'm joined by my friend, my idolo, obviously bold monk, that is Nidhi Shankar, and a very, very special guest today, our first international guest all the way from Pakistan. We've got Shahid joining us. Shahid, first of all, thank you so much for doing this. Shahid, before you say anything, Shahid, your house has a football turf. You screen games at your place. Is it true that once Liverpool were considering moving out of Melbourne, they considered Lahore?
I think our crowning moment was when Ian Rush visited Lahore, and we held the screening of the Cardiff match here, and he visited us, and it was amazing. But of course, we have a lot of memorabilia here. We host the screenings for the Pak Reds over here, basically the Lahore chapter, and every weekend we have close to like 50 to 70 people, approximate, sometimes less, sometimes more, to watch the games. It's an incredible atmosphere, all diehard Liverpool fans, and the camaraderie is great, and just we have a great time and we love it.
Absolutely. And I was going to bring it up, but thanks you mentioned it. I think that's an experience very few Liverpool fans can boast of. Having a legend like Ian Rush visit your home. Can you tell us a little more about it? How was it, when he walked in through your doors, and how?
Well, he was in Lahore basically for in Pakistan for like a fact-finding mission for like a week, and we had been contacted. One of my co-founders in Pak Reds, his name is Nosran Effendi. He had connected with his team, and for me, I mean, I grew up as Rush and Dalglish were at the peak when I was growing up, so it was a very surreal moment. But the thing is, he was a fantastic guest to have. He signed every shirt. He signed every book. He took every picture. He was very jovial, very warm, welcoming, discussed football, discussed stories. Just it was all genuine, and for us, it was a great experience, and it was a very, very valuable experience for the fans who can't go to Anfield, and for us, that's really valuable so that we can spread the joy, and that allows for the passion to remain. So I thought that the fact that we were able to share it with the Pak Reds, and we had like, I think around 150 people who came.
Yeah, and I must. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a very tough question, Shahid. Your room has probably a million Liverpool pieces of memorabilia around. What's your favorite? I know it's a very, very tough thing to choose, but choose one. What's your favorite piece?
That is very difficult. I mean, I would probably say 2 or 3 items. One is I bought the number 11 Bobby Firmino jersey, and then I sent it back to him, and he signed it because he changed to 9. So I thought that was fantastic of him to do that for the 1,600 or the 2,000 fans who had bought his number 11. So that's kind of a collector's item somewhat. Secondly, there's a picture of my younger 2 children with Henderson after the Palace match. So I think whenever we look at that, it gives us a good memory, because I remember we went to watch that match and we kind of were close to Henderson and Milner, and I told my children, I said, listen, I see a fire in their eyes that is telling me that they're going to do something this season.
But Shahid bhai, the Desis that we are, how did it start for you? How did the love affair began for you and Liverpool? When did it start? How did it start?
Basically, I was born in Scotland, and my father had been working in Scotland. And while I was I was a little bit of a preemie, so they left me in the hospital, and within the time that I was in the hospital, moved to Liverpool, to Kirby, of all the places.
Wow.
So then they picked me up from the hospital in Scotland and took me straight to Kirby. After I was done with the incubator, I was in the incubator for 3 weeks. And my father basically was a football fan, and he had basically done the same journey that Dalglish later did 3 years later. So as soon as Dalglish landed up in Liverpool, he said, okay, Glasgow to Liverpool, we did that. Dalglish has done that. And then being born in Scotland, I consider myself a Scotland fan. And then there was Souness and Hansen and Dalglish, and then even Steve Nicol, by the way, Gary Gillespie. So you had a strong Scottish contingent, which basically conglomerated into me becoming a Liverpool fan. And then I just kept following them. I moved to Hong Kong. I moved to Taiwan. They did some tours of Hong Kong at the time. So I went to watch them there. And then when I came back to it just continued. The love affair didn't stop after that. I came back to Pakistan.
My first Liverpool memory है जब भी गैरी मैकलिस्टर ने वो डाबी में गोल मारा था at Goodison. So I'm not saying that that's the time I started supporting Liverpool, because I was very young. I was 10 or 11. I'm not as lucky as your kids. Jinki parampara hai support Liverpool. But what is the first memory you have as a supporter?
I think I have a vague recollection of Liverpool winning the 1981 European Cup against Real Madrid when Alan Kennedy scored the left foot drive, breaking through on the throw-in. I have a vague recollection of that. Now, I was only 7 years old, but I do remember that match. I remember that match. But I mean, obviously, I would say that the 1986 FA Cup final, the 1984 European Cup final, I was definitely
Liverpool are European champions.
Like, I watched the entire Heysel European Cup final live, when not in the stadium, obviously, but in London. I was there at the time, and I remember being a full-on Liverpool fan during Rome in Heysel, 84 and 85.
How old are you?
I'm 46, unfortunately, or fortunately, I've made it to 46.
But नहीं बिल्कुल बुढ़े नहीं हुए आप शायद भाई. And but speaking of experiences, I think you are the only person that we only Liverpool fan that we personally know who has attended 4 Champions League games finals, right? You've seen us win it in Istanbul. You saw us lose it in Athens. You saw us again lose the Champions League final in Kiev, and finally win it in Madrid. So can you tell us a little bit about being part of such historic moments? How was it for you?
Well, you see, I strategized it in a way in which I've missed some great matches as well. You see, the Chelsea match, the ghost goal, Garcia, the atmosphere at Anfield. I mean, come on, that's not to be missed. The Barcelona match, that was not to be missed. But I had a conscious choice at that time. कि पैसे कहाँ लगाने? ठीक है, final में लगाने या semi में लगाने? And every time I've always thought to myself, you know what? If I'm gonna go, it's gonna be to the final. So I've been very lucky and blessed that I had my own business and I was able to afford it. I have a British passport. I didn't have all the visa problems, what have you. So that it was just an opportunity not to be missed. And I actually each final has just been a great experience. Like Istanbul, my son was just like I think he was at that time 3 years old. And he was in the stadium with us. He fell asleep in extra time. But that was like, obviously, that's definitely the pinnacle of anything that I've seen, based on the fact that how many fans were there. The entire stadium, except for the bank where the Milan fans were at the end, was all Liverpool fans. And I think it peaked. There were obviously, you have to go with what is exactly the turning points, which was, I would say, the equalizer, which was a rebound, could have gone anywhere. The save from Dudek, even when he made it, everybody realized this is an incredible save. It's beyond physics. The switch from Gerrard, the switch he made to Gerrard at right back to Mark Serginho was unbelievable. It was an incredible tactics, and it was a hell of a performance by Gerrard. And then, of course, the shootout itself. the first shot penalty that Serginho missed himself that blazed over. So all of that like culminated in a crazy night, and just getting to that stadium was not easy. It was in the middle of nowhere. It looked like people were going on a pilgrimage, because there was a big ground. I'm sure you've heard this before. There's a big ground that you had to walk past, and the stadium was a little bit up on a hill, and there was a sea of red. It's a miracle, in my opinion, that we made it to Madrid. And I mean, Madrid, Liverpool just played it like attrition. What I really enjoyed about Madrid was we were sitting with the bank of fans, and we could see Wenger and Mourinho. So there's this famous clip of Wenger and Mourinho when everybody was singing "You Never Walk Alone," and they were saying, "This is football, this is passion, and you can't buy this passion." I literally looked over my shoulder, and I could see them when we were singing "You Never Walk Alone," actually having not this exact discussion, but looking at the fans in amazement.
Yeah.
So you can't deny that Liverpool fans go everywhere in force, especially when it comes to European finals. And I guess the moment was when Origi scored. Obviously, it happened straight at us, and that was like a great experience. I mean, that was probably the pinnacle, actually, because my kids were teenagers.
Yeah.
And they were little babies, and they were there, all three of them, with me. And Istanbul was a great moment too. But for Klopp, we have to understand. For Klopp, Madrid was critical.
I mean, it's very tough to ask you this question since you've seen so many games. I have seen 8 or 9 games in person. I have seen Mo Salah's rocket versus Chelsea. If you know what I'm saying, that dagger into the bottom.
Yeah, of course.
I was
Fantastic goal.
there for that game.
Yeah.
If you can pick your favorite game or goal, what would that be? Because Nidhi has seen Bobby Firmino hat-trick against Arsenal. Nidhi has seen Shaqiri brace versus Man United. I have seen Salah's goal as against Chelsea. What is your favorite game?
When we were wearing the purple and we were away to Southampton and we won 3-1, and Salah ran 70 yards and scored the goal. Again, I was there with my children, and we hired a taxi and we'd gone there, and then we had Nando's, and then we watched the match, and Henderson scored. So my daughter's favorite player, as has been for since he came to Liverpool. Salah scored a beautiful goal. We didn't win the league, but there were a lot of Liverpool fans in the area. There was a lot of camaraderie. There was a lot of excitement. I felt that was a fun moment. I mean, this is a tough question. You shouldn't be asking me because there's too many matches.
So, Shahid bhai, I have a 3.5-year-old daughter. I'm making all the attempts to turn her into a Liverpool fan. The good part is that right now the job is slightly easier because we are absolutely flying at the moment. But any tips you have for me to make sure?
Well, I mean, 3.5 years is very young, okay, for the type of tip that I'm going to give you. But I will give you a tip.
Yes.
You're not Liverpool if you're not Shankly.
Yeah.
You're not Liverpool if you're not Hillsborough.
Yeah.
That is woven in the fabric of the emotion of being a Liverpool fan. You can't just be a Liverpool, we have all these Twitter warriors nowadays. You can't be a Liverpool fan unless you have deep dived into that era and those incidents and those tragedies. And you've seen how the club and the supporters united and picked themselves up. That is a unique element of being a Liverpool fan. Listen, it's the same with United. The Munich air disaster is interwoven in United's history. And it's a bond that the fans will always have with the club. Hillsborough is a bond that Liverpool always have. And of course, it's not an easy thing to show a child, but I did educate my children about Hillsborough. And I said, this is what happened. And this is what they said about the fans. And this is the newspaper. And this was the government. And this is how they reacted. And this is part of what our club is. And this is what every player who comes to Liverpool has to understand. They get a crash course on Hillsborough before anything else. And that was really, I have to tell you, there would have been a lot of emotion if the fans were let in when Liverpool won the league. Because even though they won the league after the end, after Hillsborough in 1990, Hillsborough is what caused the decline of Liverpool. It's what caused Liverpool to lose Dalglish prematurely, and Dalglish was still a fantastic manager. He went on to win the league with Blackburn and come second with Newcastle. So, he had a lot left in the tank, and it also caused a lot of angst and pain for the club for years and years about how the players were treated, how the fans were treated, and that was a cost that the team did bear for many years. So to be able to win the league after that, it was kind of, it does mean something. It shows that journey has been complete. And the Hillsborough survivors group, they did mention, Margaret Aspinall mentioned that it was 96 points for the 96 fans. So that connection to Hillsborough for Liverpool will always remain. And all Liverpool fans have to watch YouTube, have to educate themselves, have to understand what that is, what that means for the club.
Exactly.
Shahid bhai, I met you in Turkey for the first time. Then we met again
Sure.
in Doha, and you, me, Nidhi met in Doha for the Club World Cup, and we won that. That was the first for us as a club as well. So, how does it feel like, not trying to sound very emotional or political over here, when you go to a foreign land because of the badge, and then you end up meeting a person from the other side of the border, क्या फीलिंग लगती है? बिकॉज मैं जब टर्की में, मेरे को याद है आप लोग को मिला था पाकिस्तान रेड्स को, मेरे को एकदम बहुत ही इमोशनल फीलिंग था कि हम लोग सेम लैंग्वेज बात कर रहे हैं, हम लोग इतने प्यार मोहब्बत से बात कर रहे हैं, वी लव द सेम थिंग एज वेल एंड वी डिसएग्री ऑन द सेम थिंग्स एज वेल. So how does it feel when you end up meeting an Indian who supports Liverpool abroad?
I think, look, we all got along fantastically well. Okay, it was helped that the team was winning, of course, and then and it's more like a collection of international people. But the thing is, at the end of the day, there's a lot of the common bond is there. Okay, we are not Scousers. Okay,
Yeah.
We are not locals, so we have to we have to clump ourselves together because we're South Asian international fans. So we have to protect each other, and we have to basically join together. So I had a great time. I didn't expect anything else.
I think Shahid, you mentioned about the fact that we are so common, and the fact that you have visited India. So let me ask you this: if Liverpool visits India for a pre-match tour, the way it's growing in the subcontinent, it's absolutely amazing. Would you like to make a trip? And
Of course.
yes, and
we can't miss that. But the problem would obviously be the visas. But if we could get visas, we would definitely not miss that. I mean, it's too close to miss, like that's one of the reasons I went to Qatar. I said, listen, I'm going all the way to Europe to watch these matches. Qatar is closer for us. India, I mean, it would be a fantastic experience. I think it'll be chaotic because, there's going to be so many people who are going to be vying for those tickets or for the access to the players, et cetera, or to the training grounds. But naturally, I mean, we wouldn't want to miss that. And that would be fantastic for Liverpool to do, actually, because this type of a tour would really provide a good explosion into the interest of the fans in India, which is important for Liverpool strategically.
And Shahid, also, like, if India plays Pakistan in a 5-match test series right now, by how many test matches will India win? Can you answer that?
You see, the best part of that is कि यही तो टाइम है ना एक दूसरे के साथ ना खेलने का. ना खेलते हम कहते नहीं खेलना. Even though our board wants to play, because obviously boards are always interested in money, but the truth is that we're you can't keep a good team down for long. So Pakistan, there's a lot of interest in cricket, and the players are coming up, and Babar Azam is now showing a lot of potential. So hopefully they can get their act together. But it's been a barren run for us because like I said, I don't want to start discussing cricket, but since you brought it up, like I grew up in the 80s, and of course Pakistan, those times, fantastic team. They won in the Nehru Cup in India as well too. So fantastic team, and I'm not really used to seeing them so weak. And India are like top of the line. I mean, they're having trouble right now, but overall, they're fan. The IPL has really upgraded the standards. So to answer your question, no matches right now.
But Shahid bhai, just to finish off the conversation, you've been supporting since the 80s, like you mentioned. I'm sure you've seen the times of Bob Paisley, then Joe Fagan, and my time was Gerard Houllier when I started watching Liverpool. And now we have Jurgen Klopp. We see loads of people being so impatient. Like for example, आजकल Neco Williams को इतनी गाली मिलती है. I mean, the young guy is just played a few games, scapegoat होता है. What would you want to tell the fans in our area how to enjoy the spell that we're genuinely living?
That's a fantastic question, honestly. That's a great question. Listen, first of all, आपने निको विलियम्स को गालियां निकालनी, आप अपने व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में निकालो, आप अपना गुस्सा उतारना है ना, उस भड़ास उतारना है उस बेचारे के ऊपर. First and foremost, he's only 19 years old. It's a learning process. I was actually very happy he got subbed yesterday at halftime. My sons were like, oh, he failed. I said, listen, he has to be protected as well. So if he's having a little bit of tough time, you got to take him out of the firing line sometimes. It's fantastic management. And, okay, it's a slight setback. He didn't play 60 minutes. He got yanked at halftime. But you know what? In the longer run, I felt better about him being taken off at halftime than being exposed to the difficulties of the match for the whole game. Now, the abuse he's getting. Listen, I will not have these points are gold dust. Okay, this era is a once in a lifetime era. ये दोबारा नहीं आना ये time. ये time है जीतने का. अच्छा, if any player is going to cost us points, obviously we're going to get frustrated. We're going up against Darth Vader, the evil empire. £4 billion invested of oil money. Manchester City, Abramovich pumping in money again like crazy. No FFP, no regulations. So this is truly good versus evil. So if some player is going to cost us a couple of points, believe me, मैं भी उसको गालियां निकालूंगा. लेकिन मैं पता है कहाँ गालियां निकालूंगा? मैं अपने लिविंग रूम में निकालूंगा, मैं अपने व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में निकालूंगा, मैं सोशल मीडिया पे जाके नहीं निकालूंगा, क्योंकि मुझे पता है कि इट्स टेम्पररी. थोड़ा गुस्सा है, उतार दिया दोस्तों के साथ डिस्कशन में और दोबारा प्लेयर को सपोर्ट करना शुरू करें. सोशल मीडिया, द होल वर्ल्ड इज सीइंग, strangers are seeing, other fans are saying, yaar, aapne kuch, like why are you washing your dirty laundry in front of all these other club fans? It's really frustrating for me. And a lot of these people don't even understand football that well. What I would say is, rather than comment about football, learn about football.
All right, Shahid bhai, it was a pleasure, because unfortunately this meeting is running out of time. Nidhi, do you want to close it, bro?
Shahid bhai, you summed it up perfectly. Instead of complaining about football, learn about football, and that's what a new age fan got to learn. But thank you so much, for joining.
Thanks for having me. I'm really happy I was invited, and it's a big honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
So much for joining us. Manas, you want to say something?
Thank you so much, Shahid bhai. Thank you so much. Please do comment, share, like, and subscribe to our channel. And Shahid bhai, please do watch the video when it releases. We'll see you soon, hopefully in person as well. Take care.
Of course.
Bye-bye.
See you soon. Bye.